Welcome back to Cyclone InCYders. Matt Van Winkle joined with our volleyball insider Andrew Schneider. And Andrew, the Iowa State volleyball team last week goes 1-1. They had a tough match against Texas, a match in which they led 2-0, end up losing in the next 3 sets, and then on Saturday, come back at home and beat an Oklahoma team. But Andrew, I want to get your quick thoughts on this Texas game because this is a match that Iowa State really, really needed to win, and a match that they had a great shot at winning. So what did you like from Iowa State in this match, and what kind of went wrong for them in that match?
Well, in Texas, it was really a matter of the first 2 sets, everything was clicking. The passing was clicking. They had great defense, They were able to get the ball to Allison really, really quickly, and Allison had a great quick set. She was able to dump the ball a couple times, too, that I don't think they're exactly expecting, although Texas likes to do that dump over the net as well. With their setter out there who's been there for a couple years. Iowa State was really able in those first 2 sets to attack cleanly. Victoria Hurt had a fantastic first 2 sets. She had somewhere in the double digits of kills after both of those, and Straube had a really good game as well in those first 2, and then Texas looked a little bit off as well. The serving, is what Christy said last week, was really what kind of changed it for them.
Yeah.
The first 2 sets, they were really able to serve it. Texas wasn't able to get the ball back up to their setter, and they weren't able to make the attacks with those fantastic outside hitters that they have in Eckerman and in Webster. And
they were just really hitting the ball hard.
They were, and that's what happened those next 3 sets. Iowa State was out there. They do this new warm-up thing where they're coming out and they warm up in between the second and third set, the so-called halftime. And I don't think that warming up helped them too much because really Texas was able then to come in and they were passing a lot better those last 3 sets. And Texas came in and just hit the ball, and they hit it hard, and they hit it really hard right through blocks. Iowa State was trying to triple block at times, and just it was hit right through it.
And this is the first 5-set match that Texas has had all season. So that's really impressive for Iowa State. If they want to have any success in the Big 12, I think that's a good sign for them moving forward. Obviously, they're going to have one more match against Texas at home, which I think is going to be a great match. I think they're really going to be looking forward to that because now they know they can play with the best teams in the Big 12. We saw them have that big win against Nebraska this year, former Big 12 team, and that was a big confidence booster for them. But I think having the fact that they can go 5 sets against Texas is really going to help them moving forward too.
It is, and the way that Kristen Hahn has been playing all season long has to be kind of it's reassuring that you can just have 2 people in your backcourt passing and allows you to set up and have all sorts of different ways to attack, whether you have Hudson, who had a kill in that Texas match from the back row, or you have Hurt, and Bigby's kind of quieted down quite a bit since these past couple weeks, and I think they've really been blocking on her, but Straube's really picked it up. Matlock has had a fantastic season just across the board as well, very consistent in the middle, but it's Texas. In Texas, you have to be perfect. In those first 2 matches, they were played about as well as they could. And really, the first 2 matches I saw in Texas was as well as Iowa State has played all season long. And really, the past 2 weeks, you talk about last week that win in Lubbock against Texas Tech, and you talk about the big sweep over West Virginia, and then we'll get into this in just a second, a big sweep over a team that they were tied for before the Texas match for 2nd place, or rather 3rd place with Oklahoma. They've played just solid volleyball these past 2 weeks. It looks a lot more like that team last year that went all the way to the Elite 8.
I think what your point about Kristen Hahn, she had 30 digs against Texas, just really putting up great numbers. Obviously, the 3-time defending Big 12 Defensive Player of the Week, so really good stuff out of her. And I think that really, the defense is what sets the pace for the offense too, because if you can get those big digs, if you can get those nice saves, it really helps the offense too, because it gives you an extra chance to be able to get a point back. Maybe if like Kristen Hahn, I want to bring him an example against Texas. They were down to the 5th set, and she was still out there fighting for digs, and they were in it to the last set. I mean, you got to give credit to Texas though for them being able to come back. Obviously, they were at home, which was a big advantage for them, but it's really tough. I know in volleyball, Iowa State's gone to a lot of 5-set matches this year, and that can get very tiring. And Texas really looked like they didn't slow down. You thought they might after that 2nd set. Iowa State really was, like you were saying, probably playing their best volleyball of the year, but just wasn't enough to be the number 8 team in the nation.
And you look at that 5th set, and that's really what the difference was. They had the chance. They were up 2-0, and they had a little bit of momentum, and there was a really long back and forth between the 2 teams. And Hurt and Matlock each had a chance to maybe put away the 3rd point that could have really changed the entire setting, took the crowd out of it a little bit, but they weren't able to get it. And Texas got one more chance on offense and just really one too many chances on offense. and that was the difference maker, and that's how that match ended. However, I really like the fact that they were able to bounce back against Oklahoma, and Matt, we went through the numbers on this real quick, and another big game once again for Victoria Hurt. So you just look up and down this lineup, you're starting to see these players get that consistency that we're chasing. I know we talked to Jamie Straube a couple weeks back about that. They're finding that consistency now, and now it's just a matter of being consistently good and being consistently all across the board good. They had a few down players, not in Oklahoma, but in Texas, that could have really changed the match. But if Bigby's able to go back to where she was in the preseason, in all those early season tournaments, and really you look at the number of matches that they've played so far, Oklahoma's at 23, Iowa State's only at 18, so Iowa State has some ground to make up. Oklahoma's going to have a few byes coming up.
And it was really impressive to me to see Iowa State go out and play Oklahoma and sweep them in straight sets, because it's really easy to get down on yourself after you lose a tough 5-set match against one of the top 10 teams in the nation, the team that's leading the Big 12. Very impressive stuff to see Iowa State come out, led by Victoria Hurt, who had 14 kills, hit 500 on the night, and Iowa State as a team hitting 373, which is the best they've hit since last year. So things are only getting better for this Iowa State offense. They're going to need to continue to play that stellar defense that they have been playing, led by Kristen Hahn, and just keep playing Iowa State volleyball. They know what they can be. They know that they can beat top teams. We've seen it already this year. Big win against UNI, big win against Nebraska. The loss against Texas hurts, but I think we learned a lot about this Iowa State team, especially coming against Oklahoma and beating them in straight sets. I think we learned a lot about their integrity too.
And not only their integrity, we learned a lot about their offense, and that it actually does exist. Hitting 373 against Oklahoma, and Oklahoma, once again, is that middle-of-the-pack Big 12 team. And just like in football, the Big 12 is stacked, and there's a lot of talent everywhere. And the difference is that Iowa State was expected preseason number 2 to be that top echelon team, and I think the talent is still there. And we've had this conversation before. It's just a matter of finding that consistency where the passing from Hockaday and from Hahn in the back row is matching up with what's going on in the front with Hurt and with Matlock and with Straube. I think the difference maker moving forward will be Bigby, that lefty.
Yes.
If she's able to figure out how to hit over those really tall Texas blocks, they've got Kansas coming up, and Kansas, I think, was not as expected to be as good as they were at the beginning of the season. But number 21 in the country, Iowa State's hovered around the top 20 once again, and I think they won't get hurt by that Texas loss. I don't think that'll hurt them at all. I think that will help them. With the voters. This is really a big opportunity coming up, as they've got one on Wednesday, and then they've got another home match on Saturday after Kansas. 2 home matches, you get 2 wins, you kind of get away from that. They've been hovering around 500, 7 losses, 11 wins, and it's going to help their RPI. If Iowa State can get the RPI up, they still have a chance, not necessarily to host. Last year they hosted because they were one of the top 10 teams in the country, and that's how it ended up. But I think they'll be able to play pretty close to home, and it's getting to that point in the season. We're a little bit after halfway now, where Iowa State's got to start looking now at these matches and thinking to themselves, we have to keep this consistency up, because every single win now is really going to start counting, especially with 3 losses in the Big 12 and 7 on the season.
Yeah, that's a good point about being able to host those first couple of games. That's huge for a team to be able to host. And I think that Iowa State will. I think that their attendance records, and based on what I've seen from them in the season, unless they just have a huge, they just go all the way downhill, I don't think they will. But what I'm seeing from this team right now, it doesn't look like that's going to happen. Big match against Kansas, though, like you said, coming up this week at home. 2 ranked teams. This is a huge chance for Iowa State, as you said, to move up in the RPI, move up in the Big 12 standings, and maybe set themselves up for, in the future to have be ranked even higher than they are now. So.
And that's what you said right there, and that's exactly where they need to be. There's no doubt that this team is a tournament team. No. That's not in question. I think if they win enough matches going forward, and I think they've got 2 back-to-back home games, and they're kind of going through that. Once they rotate through, they'll be going through that softer part of the Big 12 schedule. The teams that are near the bottom, like West Virginia, they have one more match with them. So you look at this schedule and you see that this is going to be a Big 12 team. Yeah. And you're right, and I wish I would have noticed this, but 2,800 once again, and they mentioned it during the Texas game, Iowa State has top 10 in the country attendance once again for another sport. Yeah. And really, Iowa State athletics has been doing a pretty good job of getting fans in there. And I think these 2 home matches, especially after that big win, rather there's only 1 home match, Oklahoma counts in that, but after these 2 matches here and having a chance to kind of set the ship straight after Texas, which they really didn't need the way they played, it's a good team coming up here.
Yeah, so the Iowa State volleyball team's been looking good. Tough loss against Texas, but they go home. They're going to play Kansas 6:30 p.m. on Wednesday. It should be a good match, Andrew. I'm really looking forward to that game. Should be a good one. It's at Hilton Coliseum, 6:30 on Wednesday. Hope you can get out there and support the Iowa State volleyball team. Andrew, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Sean.
And thanks for watching Cyclone InCYders. We'll be back next week with another episode.
I thought we had a great week last week. Probably the best volleyball we played. Best two matches we've strung together in a row in quite a while. So, I really liked how we've just gotten things going. I think our outsides have really come on lately. Hurt especially, but Hockaday as well. But Hurt's really terminating at a very high level right now. I think defensively we're digging a lot of balls, getting in a really nice rhythm, just getting after it and being very aggressive defensively. Against Oklahoma, I thought we just all clicked. It's not often when it feels like everybody on your team is playing well at once. That's hard to do, and I thought that's how we looked against Oklahoma. Just everybody was going at the same time. So we've got another very, very important week ahead of us, and we'll have to have those kind of performances to have a chance at KU or TCU.
I think it's a lot more confidence with each other. I think especially, the younger girls, the freshmen, I think that they're a lot more confident out there. Everyone kind of looks to each other and is really more aggressive too, I think, this second half of the season.
I think, our new mentality needs to be, we're starting a new season. It's a brand new start, fresh, it's 0-0. We have the next 9-10 games to play, and I think we're at a really good point. After the Tech game, I think we switched our mentality, and we've just been relentless ever since. And I think we're finally clicking, although we have been, throughout the year. I think everyone's finally coming together.